Okay, good day, and welcome to the module 8 of the our Healthcare Leadership and Clinical Lab Management course. So today we'll be looking at module 8. Module 8 talks about personnel management. Okay, module 8 talks about personnel management. We have looked at module 1 to 7. You can catch up with that for the proper understanding of this program. So we'll continue. So the course is to introduce participants to the essence of personnel in quality management system, to provide principles for personnel management that contribute to build the organization whose team is qualified, that is competent, and understand and follow the quality management system. Next is for participants to be able to describe the role of personnel in quality management system. Then participants should be able to develop a plan to verify employees' competencies, which is a core function of the laboratory manager or the healthcare manager of a particular organization. Next is participants should be able to understand the steps involved in assessing and maintaining employee competency, to know and explain the process of maintaining personnel records. So by way of introduction, personnel are the most important resources in any organization, whether being healthcare. It's critical for us to understand that every quality that must be implemented, we have to be implemented through quality personnel, and therefore the quality management systems implementations are done through the process of people being involved. Those people who involve must possess integrity and recognize the importance of their work and participate in the continuous improvement program. Every quality system must be driven by personnel who have been trained, and this personnel must be qualified, they must be competent, and they must understand the concept of quality management system. Very, very important. A very important part of the management process is to seek ways to attract qualified personnel, to provide motivation, appropriate benefit, and working condition so as to retain the staff. Now, it is expected that every organization has a documented procedure for personnel management, where records are maintained for all personnel in their facility to indicate what compliance and other regulatory requirements. Now, these are the 12 quality system essentials. Today we're going to be looking at personnel among others. So by way of also continuing our introduction, the management of every health organization, including laboratory, whether government, agency, private, non-government organization, etc., must document personnel qualification for each position. So for each position you are bringing in people on board, there must be a documented qualification for such position. For example, in the laboratory director, the laboratory manager, the scientist, the pathologist, the technician, the assistant must all have their required education, their training, their experience that demonstrate that skill that is needed to fit into that role. So every position in the facility must have a clear documented personnel qualification, which shows the personnel qualification to be in that position. Now, let's look at some of the personnel that is needed. It includes one, we have laboratory director. So this is important that the laboratory director to hire an appropriate number of staff to cover the workload. So if you're managing a department, you're managing an organization, you must be able to have a way of measuring the appropriate numbers of staff to be able to cover the workload. Develop complete and thorough job description for each employee. So there must be a JD, a job description for each employee. Next, you need to verify that the item on the job application are also correct. Train each employee in their specific duties. So part of the roles function is to train each employee in their specific duties. Provide comprehensive orientation for all new employees. So people don't just come into the facility, come to the organization, and you just put them into the work. They must be oriented. There must be an orientation program that is duly signed off by the trainers for such new employees. So no matter the experience of the new employee, expected that they must go through orientation. Next, conduct and record competency assessment for all personnel. Conduct employee performance appraisals. Provide opportunities for continued education, new techniques, or updates for existing methods, which can be introduced in using the continuing education courses. So there could be programs, new technique, new equipment that is brought into the facility. So you have to ensure that there is continuous education to ensure that the employees, the staff, the personnel get to understand and get to learn better from that. Now, next we go to other include, we have like a quality manager. What are the overall or overview function of the QA manager? It's necessary to provide the employee with orientation and training. Next, keep track of the employee record and make sure they are confidential, among others. Also include policies, relevancy, personnel in the quality manual, and etc. So this also includes the policy that is relevant to personnel in the quality manual. So they have to get to know these things. So for the laboratory staff, this is just like an overview. The details of the functional details of the quality manager are far, far away beyond this. Now, for the laboratory staff, they include all the laboratory personnel. So this is important to note that whether they be technicians, whether they be pathologists, whether they be scientists, they are all laboratory staffs for a clinical lab setting. So participate in training and continuous education work opportunity. This is very, very vital. Request training that may be needed as job responsibility increases. Maintain record of personnel, professional development, and also what we call the personal development plan. Now let's look at other aspects of the personnel management that the clinical lab manager must be able to understand. We talk about job description. So what is job description? So job description is an official document that clearly shows the responsibility, it shows the tasks, and shows the authority, the reporting line of the personnel. It also shows who is responsible for what. So a job description must cut across all cadre of the organization or the lab and whatever. So everyone must have a job description, including to the cleaners. Everyone must have a JD. So in those things. So the job description is an important quality document that every personnel must have. So next we talk about personnel introduction to the organization environment, talk about orientation. So when a new personnel come into an organization as a lab manager or as a manager, first you have to take the person to what is called general orientation. This general orientation includes everything the personnel needs to know, how things have been done, the facility, the exit point, etc. Organization policies, what is the policy of the organization? Leave policies, employment policies, staff policies, company policies. You have to take to the staff. Next, we talk about showing key areas of the organization. You must show him or her key areas of the organization, including like that point, fire, your exits, emergency exit point, places where you could easily see fire extinguisher, workstation, eye wash station, emergency exit. So there must be a checklist that addresses each aspect of the orientation, which is very, very important. So you ask the employee to initial and date the checklist to document discussion of each topic. So there must be a documented evidence to show that this new employee has gone through this orientation program. So it shows generally you have a qualified new personnel, you give him a first to do an orientation. Orientation, you give him a job description. If that job description is given and is well understood, you train him or her in that specific task. So if you don't train a new employee, you don't have the right to hold him or her responsible for doing what is not appropriate. So training is part of it, task-specific training. Then after task-specific training, we'll now do competency assessment. This is whereby the trainer you will have your different ways of doing your competency assessment depending on what your organization is used to and whatever that is documented as way of doing your competency assessment. So if the person passed the competency assessment, it leads to the next stage, which is known as the person is competent. So there's a competency recognition. If it fails the competency assessment, what is going to happen? You need to retrain the staff on that particular task. So training are very, very important. So what are the trainings? The training include quality management system training, assigned work process and procedures, applicable laboratory information or information interface system, yeah, applicable like LIS, laboratory information system. So you have to train that individual on those processes. You train on your QMS, you train on the assigned work process and procedure, you train on the LIS, you train on health and safety, prevention of contamination and the effect of adverse incident, the ethics of the organization and the profession, confidentiality of patient information and the company information, or trade secret, and you are able to identify gaps and be able to move forward. So when we talk about competency assessment, so what ways at which competency assessment can be done include direct observation. So you let's say, for example, you have trained a staff on the use of a particular equipment. So you can do a direct observation of routine work processes and procedure, observation of the equipment maintenance and function check, which include maintenance of the equipment, troubleshooting of equipment, interpretation of flag raised by the equipment, monitoring of record and reporting of the examination, review of the workbooks, assessment of general problem solving skills. Talked about examination of interlaboratory comparison like EQA program and IQC. So you expose the new staff to these things and see how they do to know that they are competent. So these are part of competency assessment. So there's always a relationship between your job description and the competency assessment and training. So your job description determines what you will be trained on, and what you are trained on determines what you'll be assessed on, and that will determine where you are competent. And that's where we'll talk about competency assessment and competency recognition. So let's talk about the review of staff performance. What are the areas you need to review as a lab manager concerning staff performance? We talk about technical competency, which we look at technical efficiency of the staff, adherence to policies, observance of safety rules, communication skills, customer service, punctuality, professional behavior. So they are expected to ensure that these things are reviewed as regards what the staff, the technical competency of the staff, the efficiency of the staff, the adherence to policies, procedures, observance, safety rules, communication skills, customer service, punctuality, and professional development. So at PEGRISO, we recommend that you can do a monthly staff performance, quarterly or yearly, but at least there must be a review of the staff performance. And it is worthy to note that for you to be able to do a proper review for staff performance, you must be able to align their duties and let them know their key performance indicators. So their KPIs, they know what they are going to be measured at the end of the day. Next, we'll talk about continuing education, professional development. This is very, very key as it regards the quality and the professionalism of the practice. Now, it is expected that both the technical and managerial staff take part of a continuous education to improve their sets, and effectiveness of the program should be reviewed periodically, like trainings, CPDs, and workshops. So when there are trainings, then they should be reviewed to know whether those trainings have been effective or not. So take advantage of both local and external resources, depending on the strengthening of the health of organization, institution in continuous education and professional work development. So there are a lot of resources, a lot of materials which you can get involved locally, externally. What we mean locally, that we think your team, within the people, and you're able to get that sorted out and done. Next, we talk about personnel record. So when we look at personnel record, there are things that must be in the personnel record for each personnel. Now, some of them include, but not limited to, only this professional update license. Each of the new license must be in the file of the personnel. Talk about competency record, talk about vaccine record, talk about job description, talk about staff induction record, talk about staff review document, report of accident and exposure, staff reviews, employment details, original application and resume, condition of continued employment, both original and subsequent competency assessment, continuing education programs you have attended must be on the file, personnel action like corrective action, disciplinary actions, leave record, health information include record of work injury, exposure to occupation, performance appraisal, emergency contact and information that is needed, hazard, vaccine status, skin test, if any, is being performed. All these and many more must be in the personnel folder or in personnel record. They'll talk about storage. This document must not be stored in the laboratory, probably in the admin custody, manager custody, but it is required that they must be accessible. The personnel file should be kept in a secure site to protect what? Confidentiality. People cannot just have access to the file of personnel or to other of their colleagues. It must be a confidential document and information. Now I want to talk about the laboratory staff. They are responsible for understanding the organization structure of the lab, including where the authority and the responsibility are assigned. So each staff must be able to understand the organogram, the structure, the responsibility, who are their reporting line, who are their upline managers, who are their downliners, who are they to supervise, who reports to them. The laboratory staff will follow all the quality policy in the daily routine work. So for organizations that do not have a quality policy, then you start from having what? A quality policy, a quality manual, then ensuring that the laboratory staff follow it hook, line, and sinker. Next, ensure that the organization structures are followed. Structures are followed. Where there are no structures, ranks are break. So not to break, for you or for the organization not to break the rank, there must be structure. And this structure must be well understood by each employee and must be followed and ensure that structures and ranks are not broken. Let's talk about staff motivation and its importance. It is very, very important to have a motivated staff. So it's the responsibility of the lab manager, the lab directors, the heads of the organization or the hospital to ensure that their staffs are motivated. Because when working with an unmotivated staff, it becomes a thorn on the flesh. So motivated employees are more likely going to be committed to their work than unmotivated employee. So one of the elements of motivated employee, that element of motivation varies for different people. So what may be a motivation for me may be different for me. But generally, we all know, especially in this dwindling economy, we know that money is a great motivation. However, some people like their time. Some people want time, care, some element of freedom, some element of space, some recognizing them. There are different ways people. So we must understand different elements of motivation as it varies for different people and ensure that those things are matched. Some respond to concrete rewards such as bonuses, incentive, and praise. Some respond best to flexible work schedules that fit their responsibility to home and children, especially for the mothers, the married women. Most respond to recognition, feeling that they are an integral part of the healthcare team. Very important. So a lot of staff get motivated when they know that they are an integral part of your team in the lab. And this does not depend on the cost or their specialty. Everyone is important. It's a chain from the pre-analytical to the analytical to the post-analytical. So everyone in the chain is important for you to get your desired results. So you must make them, give them that sense of belonging, that they are an integral part of what you are doing. Everyone's job is important no matter what you do. Please take note of that statement. Everyone's job is important no matter what you are doing. So you see the difference between motivated staff and unmotivated staff. Difference is there. Unmotivated staff get burnout, mental health issues, insecurities. Unmotivated staff, it is better for you to have few numbers that are motivated and for you to have multitude of people who are unmotivated. Now let's look at the functions of personnel management. This has been dealt with in the previous topics, so I won't spend time. We have two major functions of the personnel management. We have the managerial function and the operative function. The managerial function talks about what? Planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, and controlling. This we have dealt extensively in our previous personnel management. While we have the operative function of personnel management, like procurement, development, compensation, integration, maintenance, operations, all these things form the operative function of the personnel management. And every of these elements has to be put into consideration, must feed into the system, must be well taken care of, must be well addressed to ensure that what productivity is maximized. Now let's look at a very important subject matter, which talks about employee retention. The migration and turnover of staff have been described as a major challenge in many countries, including Africa, where in quote, the jackpot syndrome, people migrating for greener pastures and the rest. Apart from the economic factor, the lack of good working environment and improper management practice can contribute to the loss of staff. When staff are not working in good working environment, improper management practice, they could find out their way. A good personnel management program can contribute to what? The retention of staff. Retaining quality, talented staff is a crucial business, and until we begin to succeed in it as managers, we have a formidable team. Yet, especially in this part of the world, Africa, you may not be able to keep a staff, but you can be able to sustain them in such a way that when a lot of things are working, the tendency to leave are going to be reduced. So retaining quality talent is crucial for the business success, as employee retention promotes success. Veterinary employees add value, but bad hire hurts morale. When you hire people who do not have the right qualification, the right skills, and everything, you see that at the end of the day, the process are impeded. Bad hire is the hiring on board of someone who's unsuited. So as managers, you don't hire based on who you know. You don't hire based on just recommendation. Even when people are recommended, you ensure that they fit into their role within the organization. And this bad hire can cost money because you're going to be onboarded, they're going to be paid, and at the end of the day, they are not going to be fit for the role. Every industry has a healthy turnover rate. So by the time any organization begins to exceed it, it calls for what? Assessment, it calls for observation, it calls for them to go back to the drawing board. When the rate of turnovers, the rate of people leaving the company is becoming over 20%, 25% is alarming. The level of employee turnover is not the only measure of your success in retaining employee. You are bound for trouble if the best staff leaves quickly and regularly. So they are always coming, your best staff are always leaving. Definitely your quality will begin to drop. So you must do everything within your power as manager to retain your what? Your good health. But actually, it benefits to business to lose poorly performing staff. It's actually good for the business to lose people who are not performing than to keep them and they become burdens and and stretch the organization. Next, if any organization, institution, or laboratory struggles to cover work because they have lost key staff employee, your rate of turnover among your valuable staff is probably high. That's what it means. That one will see people can no longer cover their shifts because of what high turnover. So, in conclusion, personnel is the most important resources in any organization. I take it again. Personnel is the most important resources in any organization, be it the laboratory, be it the hospital, be it the research center, anywhere. And the management of this personnel is one of the most difficult management among other things to be managed. It's very difficult to manage humans. People, if you have 5 people in your team, you already have 6 minds, 6 thoughts, 6 opinions. If personnel management is a top priority, and if it's gotten right, it helps to get other resources in place. It takes staff to drive quality. It takes staff, quality staff, to drive competency, to drive excellence, to drive good customer focus. It takes people to run with any system or any vision. To have personnel management crisis is to have a broken system. Due diligence must be put in place to get the right person, train them, integrate them, welfare them, and make them an integral part of the process. So please go over again. If you have questions, please go up at the comment section. We'll take your questions. So the personnel management is really an interesting aspect of the healthcare and leadership management course. It helps you to understand. So we're looking at from the technical aspect of the personnel to their welfare, to the competency, to the program, to the policy, to compliance, to regulatory issues that surround the personnel, to attitude, to professionalism, to focus on understanding the vision of the company or the vision of the organization, and etc. Training is key when it comes to what personnel management. Because if you don't have a good training program, a good training policy, I tell you, it is very difficult, especially for technical jobs, even non-technical jobs. So the training should cut across both technical and non-technical skills. Technical skills are even soft skills. Time management, communication, they must be taught. People must train. You have to put it as part of their continuous development program to ensure that you get the best out of the staff. So thank you. And that will be all for those modules. See you in the other modules.